All right, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining. I'm Christina. I'm one of the organizers of Earth Action Hub, and I'm here with Arnau, who's my colleague at Foundation for Environmental Education, and he has willingly accepted, and I'm very happy that he's accepted to be a facilitator of this session. So I'm actually just going to hand it right over to Arnau, and thank you so much, everyone, for joining us for this conversation.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this Earth Action Hub conversation. My name is Arnau, and I'll be facilitating this conversation. This conversation will be structured in the following way. First, we'll hear a bit from each of the speakers regarding the values and principles that drive sustainability in their corporations. And afterwards, we'll move into the questions part, where both myself and the speakers, not the speakers, but the audience will be able to ask some questions. So remember that if you have any questions, you can write them down in the chat. Our speakers today with us are Vela-Wagner. She's the executive director of the Wrigley Foundation. Anne has a deep experience in global strategy and partnership development, employee engagement, and process improvement. She leads the foundation's global partnerships and programs in more than 20 countries around the world. With us, we also have Steve Hope. Steve, he's the head of ESG coordination in Toyota Motors Europe. Steve has been working in Toyota for more than 30 years now. In 2012, Steve was assigned to a wider role, taking responsibility for the complete environmental scope of the vehicle's life cycle for the European region. And recently, this role has expanded into the full scope of sustainability and environmental, social, and governance within Toyota. And we also have with us Tommaso de Luca. Tommaso, he's the corporate communication manager at Lucart Group. Lucart Group is a company that has always been able to innovate in harmony with the environment and the territory. And Tommaso's main activities at Lucart are to create long relationships based on mutual trust with the stakeholders. After this presentation, I'm gonna hand it in to Anne if she would like to start with what are the values and principles that drive sustainability in Wrigley.
Sure, thank you so much, Arnau. It's great to be here with you and with everyone and the other members of our panel. I am Anne Vela-Wagner, as Arnau mentioned. I'm the executive director of the Wrigley Foundation. And to give you a better view into the business, we'll give you a little bit of background. Wrigley is the world's leading manufacturer of chocolate, chewing gum, mints, and fruity confections. For over 125 years, we have brought smiles to faces around the world. We have some very well-known iconic brands that I'm sure many of you are familiar with. And if we go back one slide, we'll look at our purpose. We believe that there are better moments that make the world smile, and nothing puts a smile on the face like the joy of a treat or a snack. A lot of times in the afternoon, right around this time, we all need a little snack to keep going. And we make sure that we have quality ingredients and choice when we are developing our products, and that we have a supply chain that is designed to share success with everyone. Now, a quick snapshot of our business here. You can see that we reach consumers in over 180 countries. We have operations in 70. And globally, we have 53 manufacturing sites. Now, some of our billion-dollar brands include M&M's, Galaxy, Snickers, Twix, and Orbitin Extra. And this is brought to you by 34,000 associates, and they work hard every day to bring quality treats and snacks. And we are very proud of all of the work our associates do around the world. Now, Mars Wrigley is just one business segment within Mars Incorporated. So in the next slide, you can see it is a family-owned business. It is private, and it has more than a century-long history. Now, all included with Mars Incorporated, there are over 100,000 associates in over 80 countries. And we take great pride in our heritage. And we want to, having been an established business for 100 years, we want to continue that success for the next 100 years. And we understand that that really has to be based on the business decisions that we make today to ensure that we have a healthy tomorrow. And that really is shaped by the work that we do and influenced by our 5 principles. They are principles that were established by our founder decades ago, based on quality, responsibility, efficiency, freedom, and mutuality. And that really guides the work and the business decisions that are made throughout the company. Now, what does this look like in terms of sustainability? We established our Sustainable in a Generations plan at Mars in 2017. And that commitment was also reinforced by a $1 billion investment. We recognize that there's success to be had for our planet, for the people who work in our supply chain, who are part of our business. And of course, we want to ensure we are part of nourishing well-being for all of the people and pets that enjoy our products throughout the world. And we have very specific commitments that we have made in each of these areas. And those commitments, if we go to the next slide, are really, when we develop them, we're grounded in science in terms of what will truly bring a healthy planet to benefit us all. And we want to ensure that we reduce our environmental impacts in line with those measures and ensure that that helps to guide our decisions along with our principles and our purpose. One of our targets also within Thriving People is to ensure that the working lives of 1 million people in our extended supply chain are enabled to thrive and that they can be successful as the business is successful. And again, we have a broad portfolio of products and brands, and we want to ensure that people enjoy them responsibly as a treat and also benefit from them. And if we think about the business decisions that drive, and are influenced again by our purpose, by our principles, we ensure that every day that we continue to ensure we will have a healthier tomorrow. But there's a role also to play in terms of the foundation. The Mars Wrigley Foundation is aligned with those same focus areas. We ensure that we are building partnerships that benefit our communities around the world, both where Mars Wrigley operates and where we source our ingredients. So we want to create better communities, happier and healthy smiles, so that everyone can flourish. And we recognize there are challenges in each of these areas. And so our focus areas center on oral health, also on litter and waste prevention, and then at the community level, looking at the solutions that bring about well-being. Specifically, we are very proud of the partnerships that we have established around litter and waste prevention, one of which globally is with the Foundation for Environmental Education. We established our partnership back in 2011 and developed the Litter Less campaign in partnership with FEE. Now, through this, we have helped improve communities, again, around the world in 35 countries. We really aim on education and changing behaviors around litter and waste. And more than 9 million students have benefited from this partnership, which allows them to take action and identify challenges in their community and empower them to create that change. So we really want to be the catalyst for those types of changes and recognize that everyone has a role to play, from large multinational companies as well as individuals. So we're again very happy to be a part of this panel, and I'm happy to answer any questions after we are complete, and look forward to speaking with you more. And for now, I will turn the floor over to Steve.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Steve Hope, and as Arno introduced, I'm based in Brussels for Toyota Motor Europe. So what I'd like to do is just give you a brief introduction, like Anne did, to the world of Toyota. You can see that we are a very large global company. Actually, Toyota Motor Corporation was established in 1937, and we now have 46 manufacturing plants around the world and in 28 different countries and regions. So we have a very clear idea to try and produce our product in the regions and countries in which we are selling our product. And you can see we have quite a large direct employee base there of around 370,000 people. Actually, we are one of the world's biggest automotive manufacturers, with a global sales of around 9.5 million in calendar year 2020. And you can see that one of the impacts of the changing world that we're in now is that we are going towards electrification. And you can see that over the past few years, in fact, over the last 20 years, we've been selling vehicles with electrified drivetrains. And we've now sold 17 million of those vehicles in some 90 different countries and regions. Next slide, please. In terms of Europe, we are actually quite small in Europe compared to what's in terms of our market share in Japan, which was near 50%. So we're around 6.5% of the market share here, but that does mean that we are selling nearly 1 million vehicles in Europe. Actually, manufacturing plants, we have 9 manufacturing plants in 7 different countries around Europe, and actually we make around 8 out of 10 of the cars that we sell in Europe are actually manufactured in the what we define as Europe. And then we have also all of the sorts of facilities you might expect to actually support that. So we have parts logistics centers, we have vehicle logistics centers to get the product to the customers. And then we have 29 national marketing and sales companies, which are actually selling our vehicles in over 53 different countries through around near on 3,000 retailers now. Thank you. In terms of the next slide, please. In terms of our history, you can see our history actually in Europe started relatively late. It started selling our first car in 1963 in Denmark, which happens to be where FI is based. And you can see here that the first manufacturing plant began in 1992. And in fact, that's where my career began within the company. And today we have gone through this development phase, you can see here, and actually we just had the latest Yaris hybrid vehicle generation 4 actually announced as the European Car of the Year for 2021. So we're very proud of that. Next slide, please. The history goes back to 1937, as we mentioned, but before that, actually, we were born in a company that made textiles. And actually, the loom on the right there is a manual loom, which the company was based its business. And the gentleman on the left, Saikichi Toyoda, is the founder of Toyota. And essentially, what he realized was that he could make a contribution to society by making good quality products that people actually wanted, but also to do that, he had to have good workforce conditions. He realized that his mother was having to work very hard in a manual area, and also there was some impact on the health of the individuals because of the dust and what have you that was coming from the cloth. So actually very early on, he started to think about how could he try to have this basis of a business which could support the community, but also the people that are working within it, but actually still be able to make a profit. So the 3 Ps. Next slide, please. And you can see here that even in those early days, he made some 5 principles, which he called the founding spirit or the Toyota principles. And you can see here that even on that first line there, it says contributing to the company and to the overall good. So here was a company that was being founded in such a way that actually it was making a strong contribution, not only to the business for the profit line, but also for its own members, but also for society. We only exist because we have a license to operate effectively by our customers. No customers, we don't have a business. So this is very, very important. And you can see here, he was trying to have a very practical way of working with members and the people that are working within the company, and also the people that are associated with our supply chain as well. So next slide, please. Actually, the next derivation of that is that actually during the development of the company, of course, things are changing. Everything is changing at a pace. So regularly we have to go back and to have a look at the guiding principles, see if they're still appropriate and to adjust them. And you can see here that really built into our DNA are these principles even today. They've been adjusted and brought up to date in various stages. But you can see here, even for number 1, it says we want to be a good corporate citizen of the world, and also to respect the culture and customs of every nation. So again, respecting diversity. Also, our customers change across the world as well. They're not, a customer in some country is not going to want the same type of product as necessarily Western Europe, for example. Also, for the 3rd item there, you can see clean and safe products. So already we're thinking about our contribution towards safety, road safety being very important with our quality, our activity in producing motor cars, and also clean, meaning we have care for the environment. So you can see it's really baked into our DNA. Please, next slide. Okay, and here is a hard example. In 2015, we launched our Toyota Environmental Challenge. It was the same year, actually, that the United Nations brought out their Sustainable Development Goals. But you can see in the environment area, we are very closely aligned with the Sustainable Development Goals. So we believe, actually, sustainability is really embedded into our activity. Our challenges there on the top row are 3 that are related to CO2. So they're related to the climate change, renewable energy, sustainable cities area of the SDGs. The bottom left one is water, clearly related to life underwater, SDG. Also, then the next middle one on the bottom row there is about circular economy, effectively, which is very closely related to the resources utilization. And then in the bottom right is in harmony with nature. So this is looking at things like biodiversity and the exploitation of natural resources. So you can see we have a very clear connection with the Sustainable Development Goals in the environmental area as an example. Thank you. Next slide. And finally, what I would like to say here is that even today, we are trying to update and consider how we are doing these activities for the benefit of the company. The picture there, the gentleman, is our founder, our president and chief executive officer, Akio Toyoda. He is the direct descendant of the founder, Sakichi, that I mentioned on the earlier slides. And it's clear that he has a real strong passion for making sure sure that this business, like Wrigley and Mars, that is a family business, we are quoted on the stock market, but we are essentially a family-led company. And you can see these are the new principles that he's brought forward in the 2020 revision of our activity. And basically, we're trying to produce happiness for all, and underneath that is a basic foundation of being able to provide mobility. So no longer are we a car company, a car producing company, we are a mobility provider, and that allows us to look into different areas of the business. But all the way back at the top of the pyramid there, we're trying to still follow the basic principles. So hopefully from this you can see that we have really sustainability based in the heart of the company. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
So yeah, I'll let Tommaso start with his presentation. Please, Tommaso.
Yes. My name is Tommaso De Luca. I am the corporate communication manager of Lucart Group. And I wish to speak about our approach to sustainability. So come with me back into the past a little bit. We are in Italy. We are in a small village in Italy called Villa Basilica. And in this small village in 1840, a man that was the pharmacist of this village, the man, Mr. Stefano Franchi, invented a technique to make paper from straw. So he used a material that was that you could find locally, that was cheap, and in some we can consider also as a waste the straw. And thank you to this invention in this territory in Tuscany, in Italy, it has developed a big, a very huge district, industrial district producing paper. So today, almost 50% of all the toilet paper, the tissue paper that is consumed in Europe is produced in Tuscany. This is very important for me. And this man had three capital, in my opinion. He had, of course, some money. He was the pharmacist of the village. He had some human capital, such as his competence, his knowledge, and he used also in a creative way to apply his competence to other fields, invented also the way of producing paper with straw. And of course, he used natural capital such as power, such as water and straw. Next slide, please. Lucart is a family business and is run by the Pasquini family. And this family was born in the same village. So starting from 1953, we are in the paper business. We produce, especially we produce tissue paper, so for hygiene purposes, so toilet paper, to be clear. And today we are a little multinational, not as a Toyota or Mars, but we are a multinational with 10 facilities in 5 countries in Europe. And on the right, you can see also the value that we created for our stakeholder. Next slide, please. And I say this because no, this is the slide, okay. Our goal is to create value for all our stakeholders. So this is very important for us. And we try to embed this vision, this concept also in our vision. So our vision is that we are committed to making circular business model to regenerate and increase natural, social, and economic capital. So we are speaking about the 3 pillars, profit, people, and planet. So we see that as capitals, and we have to regenerate and increase those capitals. So this is our vision of our business, and we believe that circular models are the best business models that can allow us to reach this target. In the mission, we put sustainability as the basis to be an inspiring element for our innovation and also for our relationship with our stakeholders. We strongly believe that we are in a relationship economy today, so we have to put this relation with our stakeholder embedded with sustainability. Next slide, please. And we believe that the best way to create value today for all our stakeholders is to follow the sustainable development goals set by the United Nations in 2015. And so we choose some of these goals. Next slide, please. Starting, for example, from raw materials. Raw materials producing paper are so important, as you can imagine. Today we can produce paper starting from virgin pure pulp, so a material that comes directly from wood, or we can produce paper starting from paper to be recycled, from a post-consumer raw material. In the first case, we have to choose certified raw materials, so FSC with the FSC certification or other kind of certification. And of course, when we use recycle raw material, we use something that was considered as a waste. Almost 50% of our production is made from recovered fibers, so using paper to be recycled. And we are also the only paper mill that is able to use beverage carton, used beverage cartons such as Tetra Pak carton, recover the fibers for our product, and also the aluminum and plastic part to produce other items. So we save the 100% of the elements that are composing the beverage cartons. Next slide, please. Of course, we have to guarantee quality, hygiene, respect for the environment, and the worker safety. So we use all integrated management systems that are available today. And we have to guarantee also our products. At the same time, we have to put a special attention on waste reduction. So we need to reduce the production of waste and to try to use this kind of waste to produce other kind of items. So we need to see this waste as a raw material, as a new raw material to create something else, internally or externally. Next slide. We also are self-producing heat and electricity. Of course, to produce paper, we need power, we need electric power and heat, because we have to dry through steam. We have to dry the paper. So we need this, and we use methane gas cogeneration turbines to produce this kind of paper or power. Next slide. We are also working a lot on packaging. In 1997, we were the first company in the world, a little record that we have, to bring on the market a toilet paper, the one in the picture, that use a recycled toilet paper that uses a pack in bioplastic. Matter B is a particular Italian bioplastic. And in next slide, in 2 years ago, we were also the first in Italy to bring on the market a pack. This time was a pack in paper, so it was a pack in recycle and recyclable paper. Recyclable paper. Next slide. Also important for us are partnership. So we encourage true partnership with our suppliers, customer, association, other institutions, because when we think about circular economy, we know that to apply this system, this business system, we need to work together with other institutions, other companies, our supplier, and so on. Alone is impossible would be impossible to reach this kind of goal. At the same time, so we have to invest in research with a strong connection with the universities to develop new technologies to apply on fibers and so on. And we like to go in the schools And this is also the reason why we collaborate with the Foundation for Environmental Education to bring the culture of sustainability into school, and we are collaborating in Europe with the foundation. Finally, the last slide. All these things are the things that we are doing as a company, but as individuals, we say that is also important to apply those three principles. So we say that it's important caring, so the attitude of taking care of yourself or your co-workers and the community, and to create a relationship based on mutual trust. It's important, the commitment to reach the goal, and also is important sharing. So the ability to share information and values internally and externally in a transparent way, to establish always long-term relationship with your colleagues internally and externally with all the company stakeholders. Those things for us are very important to apply sustainability in a business model. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tommaso. Thank you also, Steve and Anne, for your presentations. Yeah, I think now we can maybe start with some of the questions. A first question that I have prepared is, how do you think the field of corporate social responsibility in your corporations? I mean, all of you are coming from very different corporations fields, very different sectors. So how do you think it will look in the coming years? Do you think that climate change will have a bigger role than it is right now, or maybe in the past years? I'll let you, yeah, whoever would like to start first, yeah, feel free to take. Yeah, also it's fine if you need to take some time to reflect on it. Yeah, Steve.
So thank you very much for the question. I know it is indeed a very important question. I think Anne mentioned about being here for the next 100 years, and that's exactly what our president and CEO has said as well. So there seems to be a commonality amongst our companies that we're really here for the long haul. But to do that, we also are facing, in our industry at least, a 1 in 100 year storm. Effectively, it's a real radical revolution in our business area, because of course climate change is really a high priority for society right now, and that is driving us to go away from gasoline and diesel to go towards electrification and hydrogen in our case as well. And to do this, we need to drive the company and the results of the CO2 that's embedded in our product and how it is used. But also to do that, we have to change really the full business model about how we are doing this. We've got to change the technologies that we're using, and to change the technologies means that we have to retrain our people. People will no longer be making gasoline engines in a factory like we're used to for the last 100 years. We're now going to be making electric motors. Maybe we'll be making batteries. Maybe we'll be making electronics in a different way, which are quite different techniques and technologies that we have to re-educate, train our staff in to make this migration from one to the other. But it doesn't stop with just making the product, of course. Also, the service agents that are on the high street and the dealers that are looking after these vehicles also need to be able to provide that. But it's not all, as I mentioned, about making cars as well. For us, we also have to fit in and provide mobility, which means that we have to have a much wider view than just making a product and selling it, because indeed that may not be what our customer of the future will demand. Maybe they don't want to own the product in the future, they just maybe want to use it as a service and be able to rent it whenever they need it, and not have the responsibility of having a vehicle parked on the street or whatever. So it's a huge change, and it's affecting every part of our business. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Steve. Yeah, I mean,
I can build on what Steve was saying. Of course, as a centuries-old company that continues to innovate, continues to learn, continues to be responsive and responsible. I think one of the things that we'll see continue to happen is just the collaboration that I think we've witnessed over the recent years, but I will say will continue to increase between business, public-private type of partnerships. We definitely feel that is part of our way of working. We want everyone to be at the table, to be a part of this solution. We definitely feel that, climate change is something that impacts us all, wherever you are throughout the world. And we want to be sure that everyone has a chance to bring in their respective views, to understand what they can contribute to the solutions. There are large companies like ours that can learn a lot from startups. And at the same time, a large multinationals can bring scale and impact, and we all have a role to play. So I think collaboration will be key in the future. Obviously, we see that happening now, but I just see that increasing going forward as well.
Thank you, Anne. Yeah, that's a very interesting point. Yeah, collaboration. Anything you would like to add, Tommaso, or we can also move into
also for us, the climate change will be the biggest challenge that we have in front of us, of course. And also for us, it's a big challenge also because we need a lot of energy. So we need to decarbonize our system, and we can't do this alone by ourselves, but we of course, we are doing our part, and we will do it by investing in solar energy, for example, or other things like that. But we need a systemic answer to this problem. So we also need to collaborate with the other company and with the institution to solve the problem, to obtain a good form of energy that we still haven't. So we will speak about hydrogen in the next few years, about biomethane, and so on. But we can't do this by ourselves.
Okay, yeah. So the emphasis is on collaboration. That's a very important part, and of course, it's a transition process that it has started, but of course, it will continue over the coming years. I can see that we have an interesting question from the chat. The question is, do you believe that there's any system to encourage employees also to take their personal actions to protect the environment? Are you implementing any practices so that your sustainability actions doesn't stay at the company level, but also in a way you try to maybe get your employees engaged with their personal lifestyles? And yeah, I don't know if that's something that any of you is implementing or are thinking on implementing.
Yes, we do have employee groups that at the local level at their sites work to have zero waste sites, which we have accomplished in many of our sites around the world. And they look at everything between our practices in the office or in our manufacturing facilities, but also, as you're mentioning, personally. So what are the needs in the community? We have thousands of associates every year that participate in their local communities, whether they are cleaning, building gardens, looking at ways to go into classrooms and teach more about sustainable practices. So we have a very active and engaged associate population that we're very proud of, and they do amazing work every year, again, in all of these areas.
Thank you, Anne. Yeah,
probably they're very similar for us. I know realistically, we're always trying to engage with our members in many different ways. So we tend to have some focus months. So, for example, we'll have a focus month on safety, which we're encouraging safety not only in the workplace but also driving to work or coming to work in the morning, or what you're doing at home as well. So you try to engage the members' mind. We're just going into June. June, as you know, is June the 5th is the United Nations World Environment Day, and we always celebrate for the whole of the month on the environment. So we'll be embarking again on what we call Green Month. We started this in 1973, so we've been doing it a long time. We give a good focus to this, and we try to give information and inspire people to do things in the business. As Anne was mentioning about Kaizen, we call it improving the processes that they are working on. They're the people who know those processes well. But if they understand this activity very well and they become advocates of the environment, sustainability in the home life as well, they will take it home. So they will think about, how do they come to work? Is it the most appropriate way for them all to come by car, or do they do some car sharing? Maybe we encourage cycling, for example, and we're just giving opportunities for members in Brussels, for example, to have a membership of a bike sharing scheme, which is part of their opportunity, shall we say, of working for the company. So this is how we try to engage with people. And finally, on the volunteering, September for us is Volunteer Awareness Month, and we've been involved with World Cleanup Day now for the number of years. Actually started in Europe, and we've now shared this to all of our global businesses now to participate in this type of action. It's very effective, and it's also very meaningful to people as well. They understand. So thank you.
Thank you for all these examples, Steve. Yeah. Tommaso, is there anything you would like to add?
Well, we are organizing some training courses to focus on circular economy and on the sustainable goals, to explain to all our employees what are these goals, and what the circular economy is, because it's very important to understand the change in the change vision that you have to apply to the business, to your daily operation if you want to obtain this kind of results. And so we are doing this kind of training, and we are also focused on safety. So we are organizing now a campaign, a communication campaign, and a training and some training course about safety, because we really want to reach zero injuries in all our factories. We are quite close to this target, but the work should be a continuous work.
Of course. Thank you, Tommaso. Yeah, I have another question for you. How do you, I mean, of course you have mentioned your strategies that you're implementing at the moment, but I guess it must be a challenge to try to manage this bottom line between people, planet, and profit. So do you have any insights or reflections on, it doesn't need to be, well, it could be on your own level, but it could also be like in a general reflection on how this challenge between, the bottom line between people, planet, and profit, how corporations should try to face this challenge. Do you have any?
If you want, I can start.
Yeah,
Sorry, this time. We try to consider. We use this trick maybe. We start considering this 3P as 3 capitals. So in an entrepreneur vision, and when you speak about capitals, it's always an argument that is very attractive. So, but it's true. It's just something that we started thinking this way because it's true and is effective. So if you think that you have to save this kind of capital, the human capital, the knowledge, the the ideas, the culture also of your different employee. Diversity is something that could be a value also if you have factories in different countries all over the world and so on. And so you if you think in this way, I think that could be a good way of doing business, balancing the 3P.
Yep. Thank you, Tommaso.
Yeah, and what I can add is, I think it comes down to the values of the business. All of us spoke, in terms of the history of our companies, and very family oriented and driven. And as Mars being a privately held family company, fundamentally based on principles and established with a purpose at the Mars Incorporated level, which is, when we think about the world we want tomorrow, it really comes down to the decisions that we are making today, and that's taken very seriously. It's built into the DNA of the business, and so one of the driving values, and our CEO Grant Reed had a quote that said, "Profit without purpose isn't meaningful, and purpose without profit isn't possible." And so when you think about that, it really helps to inform how a business operates, always with people and the planet at its heart, where it's all intertwined. We're all part of this ecosystem, and we recognize that one cannot be successful without the other. So having established that early on in the fundamental foundings, I would say, of the business, it's then one way that you can continue to ensure that it lives on, and that model has been successful for the business and will continue to be driving toward those goals.
Thank you, Anne. Yeah.
Just to think about some of the things that have been mentioned there. I think actually it comes down to long-term thinking as well. I think it's essential to be always looking at what is around the corner from a business to be profitable, and that means that we have to be thinking what the customer is going to be demanding of us in the next coming years. So in our case, we're going to have to change our offer from just selling cars to maybe looking at a different business model. We're going to have to look at the technologies changing as well, and as I mentioned earlier, no longer are we thinking just about providing motor cars, but it's about providing mobility. So we have to think in that way. I think if we don't do that, we could be in the case of some of the companies which have had terrible problems with this. So I can think of at least two companies which were involved in making photographic products, for example, and their failure to realize that the world was going digital and we would have digital products in our pockets as a camera, or even now built into our phones. That they didn't realize their business was going through this huge change, and actually they really lost out in that area. They became very poor performing companies because nobody was buying photographic film any longer, or a standard natural camera. So we have to keep an eye on this in this changing universe effectively. And as you can understand, because of the planet and because of people changing what they're expecting of companies now, actually the pace of change is absolutely massive, and we have to really keep up. So actually, if we don't think about the people, we don't think about the planet, we won't have any profit in the future. So to be profitable, to be a long time, to be around in 100 years time, which I hope sincerely all of these three companies will be, we've got to move with the times. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Steve. I think we are running out of time, so I don't think there will be more time for more questions. But thank you so much for being here with us today, for sharing these presentations on how you're approaching this challenge that corporations are facing because of climate change. And how are you trying to deal with this challenge, and what are your contribution or solutions to this challenge that is, of course, to manage the profit, the planet, and the people. So thank you very much for being here with us, and also thank you everyone our audience that has joined this conversation. Hope you have enjoyed and you have taken something out of it. So thank you very much for participating.